Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
Then, when I explain to you, when you put a food in your mouth, you are just an attraction point. You are now have created a condition for your life, for your body to attract that little fields which come from outside. In a way, you have set the seed of absorbing fields. This is your dimension of physicality, and you have a big stomach. In the stomach, when you put the food, as I explained many times, when you eat, all you do, you set the small seed of, in a way, by body of the man, converting the food into a nanomaterial in the stomach and then changing it into a gas, which creates a small field. Now you have created the condition for absorbing the fields of the universe into you. 80% of your energy which you absorb to run this physical condition. And in the process of the digestion, where it goes, how fields are interacted, decides what kind of diseases you will get. This is why the new technology in health, in the space technology, by changing the environment of this condition, just creates the fields. And the body, in respect to getting it from possibly the cosmic rays as a source, to change, to develop, to repair. Then you'll come to understand in the future, one of the most important things for man will be, going back to what we just said, is that the brain of the man will change its shape to spherical. The shape we see, our shape of our brain will 100% change as we go into this process. If you look at the pictures of the magnetic fields of the Earth, you have Earth, you have the direction of the flow of the field of the sun, and if you look, we have a tailwind. Because the strength of the field facing pushes the fields backward. Now, isn't this the shape of the brain of the man? But in that tailwind, the shape of our brain has changed to this shape. So what do we absorb in the direction of fields? From the frontal view, from the face side, that pushes our brain to be extended slightly to the back. What fields from the cosmos we receive on the tail end and the front end. And how these affects the emotion, the physicality of the man in the process of the creation in his life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 615th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 6th, 2025. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I will be host once again in this weekly series of workshops. And once again, we have the honor to have Mr. Mehran Keshe as our main person here today. And I believe he's ready and raring to go. Our background image today is of a 3i Atlas replication. So that's one of the topics of many, but please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to a series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back as usual, and I do apologize about last week. It was very sensitive, but had to be done, and we tried to keep at least our tradition going. But we go back to the same topic and same level of teaching as we open up a new Pandora box of knowledge. In the world of the science and technology and physics, there is a lot of ambiguity, especially in respect to what we see in the cosmos. We never understood, we took it for granted, we call it the Earth has a magnetic field, gravitational field. We call it that there are fields, cosmic rays in the universe and the rest of it. But the question is, where did they come from? How did it start? What is the origin? And what does it reflect? In so many ways, as we have thought over years, one by one, the proof of the pudding in eating it is the way the scientists are reporting the features we see on the structure of what we call 3I. But we have to understand how it works, how it is. And sooner or later, we come to understand that we know the knowledge, but we never looked at it. We see it on everyday time of life, but we don't understand it. We never understood it because our scientists are what we call forerunners in knowledge. They were too physical, never understood the energy. Those who understood the energy became gurus, and those who understood how to manipulate the energy became worse than the gurus themselves. But the whole thing is starting one way, a plasma. What is it? What it be it? It's all, and it's itself part of. What does this mean? You have an ocean. It's the best way we can explain the work of a plasma. Water is a plasma. In a way, if you understand that if you have a standing by ocean and you get a cup of it, and then you take a spoon of it, and then you take a drop of it, all carries the same information. It's just how each one behaves. How does the water behaves in an ocean, how it behaves in a cup, how it behaves in a spoon, and how it behaves in a drop. The drop is the cell of body of the man. The spoon is the body of the man. That cup is our earth. And then the ocean is the universe, part of it, the solar system. There is no difference. So when we say we are a made man in the image of myself, because we are a drop from that cup, we are that drop from that ocean. And depending on its size, it behaves different. You cannot create a tornado in a cup and in a spoon. But if you create condition, you get tornadoes, waves, and everything else in the ocean. But if you start analyzing the structure of the ocean, we don't have microscopes to watch the whole of the ocean. So we watch a drop. We see the behavior in a drop. It's got bacteria, it's got this. That's what's in this ocean. That's what's in this cup. And the drop, when we pick many of it or put many of it together, makes that ocean. And when we take a drop from that ocean, it carries all the characteristics of the ocean in a drop. This is exactly what the plasma of creation is. I am the beginning, I'm the end. The beginning is the ocean, the end is that drop. So as we cannot study, we do not see the behavior of the whole structure of the universe and the unicos, then we understand that we can study that drop. How does a plasma behave in the cell of the man? How does a plasma behave in an atom? Our scientists have never had the understanding of how to test the drop to understand the behavior of the universe. That drop is a proton. That drop is an electron. That drop is cell of the man. When they interact, they create conditions. When they are slightly of different strength, they create a different condition and everything else which goes with it. If you put a few drops of different colors or different strength in oil or whatever in them, you see they don't mix. They create their barriers, they create their boundaries. It's the same with the plasma. When you create the condition of a plasma and you put many plasmas next to each other, they have a specific characteristics feature. They always become hexagonal, because they accommodate each other. They cannot move against each other. And we see that on the skin of the man. Look at your skin. Nobody has cut shape between the cells of your skin. It's a magnetic field pressures from underneath and adjacent cells, which is again plasmas, which dictates that. Then we look at the north poles of any system, or the south pole. Or when we go in a dimensional size, we can even see it on the equator line. We see hexagonal shapes. We see this clearly in north pole of the Saturn and Jupiter. So the magnetic field of the elements inside, plus the pressure from the atmospheric condition of the solar system, forces to create that hexagonal shape. Now what we hear in past 24 or 48 hours, they see hexagonal control structure on 3i, because it uses dynamic magnetic fields. Now we see the pictures of it. We understand exactly how it behaves. How do you create magnetic fields? We try to create electronic system, electrical system. We get magnets. We create dynamic system to control the plasma. But if other scientists knew that if you play with the plasma from inside, you don't need to create magnetic fields from outside. This is why, yes, last week in the teaching, I explained the plasma, the creator, is a plasma. Do you want to create a tornado in it? Or do you want to create a shake in the bottle or in a cup? When you shake it, you create waves. When you squeeze it in different parts, you get tornadoes. That's all it is. And this is exactly what happens when you look at the waves on the ocean. When you look at the waves standing on the beach and seeing the waves coming to you on different waves in the ocean, nobody has created them. Nobody has done anything to them. It's just the pressure of the environment pushes it to manifest itself as a wave. In the ocean, we call it a wave. In the plasma technology, we call it magnetic field. That's the same thing, the same process, the same understanding. So if you play with the plasma, you get the magnetic fields. And how you play with that plasma decides what strength that will show. You push it very gently, the ocean is calm, serene. You pressurize it a little bit, you get the wave. You put something in it and squeeze it fast. It's like a boat going through water, you get the wave on the beach. And that's all it is. And in any sense, if you understand this, then you understand that the magnetic field is within the plasma. It just needs how you squeeze it, how you play with it to manifest itself. This is why that the whole universe is cosmic ray. Cosmic ray is the essence of the creation, is the essence of the embodiment of the body of the creator. Once we understand this, then the whole mystery of the creation comes to an end. We create waves out of the calm ocean. We create a magnetic field out of pressurizing different way the plasma itself. Our scientists have never tested this because they never understood this. All they think is squeeze it, then you fuse it. Fusion is a dream which will never come true. If the man understands it, he can squeeze it together to get whatever they're trying to do. Fusion in plasma technology comes from collaboration, comes in understanding how to shake the plasma, not how to squeeze the plasma. This is why the fusion scientists of today always talk about billions of degrees, because it's a cat, you squeeze it too hard, it's gonna scratch and it's gonna run out of control. When you play with it, it gives you everything you need. It's like a tap. You open a little, you get a little. You open more, you get more. You want it hot, you want it cold. You want it to be with the pressure. This is exactly what the world of science has to understand. This is what we see with 3I, but the world of science is amazing. They do things with not against the law of physics. It's against the law of physics of matter structure, but it's not against the law of the plasma. Magnetic fields, collective, how you play with. You decide on the structure. When we look at the new pictures released of the structure of 3I, now the biggest and the worst one, we have to see the structure of the R2, which is the most amazing structure man has ever seen. When you look at the structure of the 3I and you look at the speed of it, as I explained before, it's book number 2. But it's a combination of. We have seen this. Man knows this. We have seen balls of fire, balls of plasma in the sky. We have seen structures like a triangle. We have seen structures like a cigarette. We have seen structures in different shapes of disc and everything else. The only way this is created is by repositioning the star formation reactors, or creating combination of them. And you as knowledge seekers are fully aware, understand this, because you've been with it, you understand it. So when we use, all you've done up to now is putting 4 reactors and playing games with it and see what it does. When you organize the reactors in a certain way, you make it elongated, but you still keep the what we call the orientation of the star formation. And then if you add all the center of star formation to a center one, you get your plasma. Then you get the shape you want. Shapes are made out of the positioning of the reactors, not out of the strength of the reactors. Read the patterns. It's clearly explained in detail in pattern how you make walls, how you can disappear, create a condition of the magnetic field balance in the environment that you become invisible. The two, there is nothing to interact for it to be shown. Understanding of the position. In a way, you don't dilute, you bring a balance to. Now we understand the next step in the space technology. Now we have to comprehend the whole process. You just played with star formation. You never played with a combination of star formations. This is how, if you go back to 129 Tesla test in the Sensano, this is what we did. We elongated the 3-4 star formations one to another. You've seen this technology, but at that time you could not understand. We transferred one to another to another. There were sets of star formations in the lab. Look at the pictures, go back and find the videos. This is how it was created, to create a high strength magnetic field without any damage, because we played with squeezing an open plasma. We didn't play to laser beam it. So when we see the structures like 3I, you already had experience of it 10 years ago. Today's 2025. These tests were done in 2014. Live. You watched it, you monitored it, you every time somebody called, it's gone to 60, it's gone to 70. And if you create this, why did during the tests of what we call in the Sensano, American forces were always informing us we have maneuvers. We informed the Americans continuously because they were down the line on a laser beam of the path of the what we call the star formation. If you were knowledge seekers in those sessions in the Sansano, we could hear the roar of the fighter planes going to Libya to start all sorts of things. And you could hear days when you were silent because we informed we are testing. We interfered with the structure from tens of kilometers away. Because we knew how to squeeze the plasma to 129 and above. Because we played with the magnetic field, we squeezed that ocean. We did not play with an arrow. If you as knowledge seekers understand this, and as now we are pushing forward rapidly with the development of the space defense technology of the Keshe Foundation through our structures, then you understand in the next few months, the games played by structures like 3i are the structures we will play with is no different. This structure, once arrives on this planet, will change shape into a disc than an arrow because it's arrived in destination. If it decides to. What do you call UFO? Hundreds of kilometers across. Because it goes from book 1, now is in book 2, and the book 3 is to come, back to a plasma. It cannot operate on the small diameter of the Earth size with the arrow shape. It does not fit into. It creates frictions which does not allow it to be in the arrow shape. It has to change shape to a spherical shape. It has to change shape to a disc. That then it can interact. And then we'll see the changes in the man. They will use frequencies, they use pulses, that it matches to everything that the man did not want to have, a peaceful man. The change will come if decided in that order, because all will be done is played with the plasma. And which plasma, in what rate, converts into matter state of the emotion. Now we understand that what we are, what you understand, what has been the teaching, comes to this point. But at the same time, we have to understand the knowledge. We have to understand the technology, that we do not become subordinate. We are equal. You knowledge seekers who understood this, you're equal to those guys inside 3i who dictate the position. And if you made a peaceful man out of yourself, in a true sense, you become part of. And this is why we're seeing the structures like this baffles us, because it doesn't follow the law, because it follows the law of the magnetic field in the plasma, and the captain decides how to squeeze it, what to position. In the world of the fighter jets, we've seen, what do? They create a different shape. Some modern ones now, they change the position of the engine. They go up vertical. They can land, they can slide. They change the position of the wing on flight. This is exactly what the captain of 3i is doing. But instead of fixed position, they move reactors in different position in the reactor. They don't need to do, because these reactors, as I said before in the teachings, are not solid state reactor plasmas. They are loose plasma without confinement. So moving them is easy. He can divide the system into thousands of pieces and bring it back together, because he doesn't move physically a reactor. He moves only the energy, and that energy, which is, we call it the plasma of the star formation, moves through the emotion of the essence of his wish. Go back to the teachings of years ago. I said, you trust your soul to a captain. How many of you in the past year test, you sat with the captains? Trust to give. This is exactly what it does. And then what it does, it moves your soul, which you trusted in, to be in that position because we're going to be peaceful, and your soul to another position. Now you become the reactor, you become that plasma of the star formation, which gives a new formation and shape to the system. You all have tested this, those who join the sessions on Fridays of each month, without you knowing. We have tuned you into a system. Those of you who attended all the sessions of the past year, especially in the past 6 months, once the situation turns up, if situation turns up with the 3i, you are the first ones which will connect. Because you've been trained. We set you up for that process. The captains are ready to hand over. We cannot tell you everything in detail because it will not fit. It frightens many of you. And it does not a physical movement. It's energy fields, what we call the soul, which transfers to those of you who became satellite and you're sitting there for, watch what's going to happen. It's not containment. It's connection of fields. And as what we call a man of science of the plasma, you don't need to do anything. You just blow and the wind creates a wave. I don't need to go there and stir it up. I just need to move one soul and the field, the strength, everything is released. This is why we see structures of man's physical body always in damaged position or in crisis with itself. It creates a cancer of itself. It creates everything else because man has not learned how to change the emotion through the soul. That confinement does not lead to creation of a galaxy. That confinement and emotion does not lead to creation of a star and a planet. You call it the cancer of liver, you call it the cancer of bone, and you call it the cancer of blood. The cancer of blood, in fact, if you understand it, is what we call cosmic ray, which get clustered in one point. Why do you get the skin cancer? Because again, the same position. The magnetic plasma fields position themselves in a way that they squeeze tight and they create in the universe a star, a planet, and your skin, something which you cannot handle, and you call it a star. And because it's magnetic field by the emotion, what happens to you? You get that wave and you call it a cancer cell. There is no difference. If the world of science in the part of the medical application understand this, all you need to do is change the way, feel the strength. But there is one thing in this whole process, is what is the soul decides where to be. The soul is not at peace. You get what you have as a peace on your body. The wrong wave creates a wrong star. The wrong wave creates another star. Cancer of liver, cancer of skin, diseases, and everything else. In the world of universe, we get cosmic ray storms, they call it. On Earth, we call it hurricanes. In the body of the man, we call it emotion. Storm of emotions create havoc the way a tornado, the way tropical cyclones appear. It's the same word. It's the same principle. But in your body, you create the storm through emotion, which is purely magnetic field, because you touch that plasma, you touch the ocean with the fields of emotion. Then, if you understand this, no one, no entity in the universe can be cleverer than you, superior than you, because you understand the yin and yang, you understand the culture of the creation. the matter state and the energy state. And you use the energy, what we call magnetic field in motion, to create the matter at the point, the place, and time. We clearly indicated that. We showed that in May in China. You had 4 reactors operating. One of the reactors had nothing in it, could not create motion. It could not create emotion under no circumstances. We saw no material being created around it. All the 4 sets were exactly copy of each other, except the one, which we explained in the presentation in China, was void of material which could create the emotion for it. That emotion could create a wave to create material. There were no materials around that reactor. Empty. Empty of emotion. Because it could not disturb. All of you look at what we put inside the cause. Is this in it? No, we create a condition outside it, but as you are so physical, you don't see. Because we know how to squeeze the plasma to lead to creation of the soft wave you get whoosh on the beach and you enjoy, or make a hurricane that you run from the beach. This understanding that everything is the same. Man has chosen different names through the lack of his understanding for the same principles. You call it a hurricane. You call it a stroke. Hurricane comes from the dimension of the fields of interaction within the ocean by pressurized from outside. You call it stroke by the emotion which creates that hurricane. When the physicality cannot hold it, it transfers it to matter state, it destroys itself, destroys the cell of the body of the man, and then you have handicaps and you have the paralysis and the rest. Is it any different than when the hurricane hits the beaches of the America or in Asia? There you destroy the brain cells, there you destroy the beaches, the trees, the houses, and people. In fact, one place, the fields of the plasma combination with what is already matter state, the other one plays with the emotion of the man, which is like a hurricane. You had a stroke, find out why. You had a huge damages through the storm, find out why. You have a blood pressure and it causes you the stroke and all the subjects which goes with it. It's no different than having trees hanging in hurricanes and tornadoes. There in your blood is your calcium. There is a tree and the brushes and the cars and everything which floats and the heads and flies. The damage doesn't come out of the car. It comes from the pressure created by the interaction of the fields of the ocean, the plasma of it. Here you do it with your own body. And what you do, the target is in your hand. You just push the arrow. Direction, the brain. Direction, the heart. And in that arrow has got calcium, and that creates your pressure. You don't understand the difference because you don't want to understand the unification of it. It's exactly the same. Have you seen storms in the middle of the spaces between the galaxies? Sometime, yes, because something somewhere has made a motion. Otherwise, it's calm. It's like the ocean being on the beaches of Bahamas. This is the beauty of understanding the science of matter and plasma. Then you understand you are the creator because you create that part. The ocean is there and you take a drop from the cup and the spoon, and it's in that drop, that's the ocean. But if you put too many of that drops together, you make that ocean. I made man in the image of myself. I am the drop, as the drop is me, the ocean. And once man understands this, once the world of science and man, common man, connects the two together, there is no magic. It's the beauty of the creation. How you create the storm, how you create a calm, is how in the life you have a stroke or you live a long present life. There, the environment decides. Here, you decide in the environment you live. The storm dies and it goes. So does the man and it goes. But what is done, what is left is the same. The damage, the leftovers, the children, and the leftovers, and the physical life he left. It's no difference. There is no need for attachment because the attachment is part of the one cycle. You go from one to another. It does not matter how much you can hold on to it. And once our scientists, once our progressive development of knowledge carries on, we as what we call the knowledge seekers should be able to stand every possible scenario that baffles the scientist in NASA with the knowledge that we know. We are aware of, we are part of, we understand how. The knowledge of creation has two sides. Dimension of the plasma, which everything is in it, but has not manifested itself unless you decide how to manifest it. Or the knowledge of the creation, which man needs to understand the totality of, for itself to be able to operate, for it to be able to work, for it to be able to understand the totality of his existence. And once we do that, once we understand this, we come to understand, as it has been said before, man does not need to be part of the physical life, as he can join to be that drop of the ocean without physicality. This is where the soul comes into. How you squeeze that soul, the sides, what you see in the dimension of physicality, manifestation, and how you amalgamate different dimensions of that soul, that plasma together, decides on the conformation of the life, physical existence, a cat, a dog, a man, a tree, and the rest. If, as knowledge seekers, you understand how the plasma is the creator of the magnetic field and the strength of, then you find out that all the plasmas themselves inside have a constant common denominator. How you squeeze it gets different field strength out of it. If you understand this principle, then you can decide how the emotion in the soul can change the dimension of emotion in the soul, of physicality, and even physical manifestation. Chameleons of universe. As I explained to a knowledge seeker very recently, if the world of creation leads us to dimension of the interaction with the life, for example, of 3i, we shall see them in the structure like a man, because the emotion of understanding of our emotion, that we need to see something like a man shape, head, tail, 2 hands, 2 arms, for us to trust, communicate with. We don't like to communicate with the dog. So they are advanced enough, they're aware of the emotion of our soul, so they manifest themselves in a shape that we can recognize. So do not be baffled. If in the coming time man encounters people from 3i or 4i, whatever, that the manifested entities who look to certain way, the way we can accept, we recognize as intelligent, but in fact it's a mirage. It's the way we created the cancer in ourselves by transferring energy through the emotion. They, through our emotion, manifest themselves in a way that we accept them. We recognize an intelligent. They will not look like us. We can be like us, as so many of them are friends on this planet with us for a long time. But they manifest in a different way that we think they're cleverer, they're superior, and our stupid leaders will bend back forwards to see how they can manipulate them to become more powerful leaders. But don't forget, the leaders of the world, your soul has already been read. You'll be manipulated to nothing. Now you understand. If we change, manipulate the environment, we get different field strength. We get different magnetic field direction. We change the environment and pressure of the earth, we get Chinese, black, white, and the rest. Now, imagine you play the magnetic field of the universe, what you will get. One interesting point that raises, when we look at the unicos and we understand the position of the interaction of the fields, does the unicos from outside looks like a hexagonal ball? And if you understand further point in the structure, then you understand why your heart is such a shape. Then you understand why the position of the heart and the soul are kept in a certain position, and how a fraction of the micro movement creates different races, different emotions, different physicality. Today we talk about face recognition. In the coming time, as we are launching the market cooperation into a very advanced level in the coming weeks, as we have started last night, you will understand the new system will come which recognizes you through your soul and position of your heart. No one can replicate. Then you are a passenger of the universe. We don't connect the eyes. We connect the position of the soul with a pump of the physicality of the soul of physicality of the man. Everyone is individual and there are no replication of it. Now you understand how the structure, how the life, how the position will change, and how we stand to bring the changes through understanding, the true understanding of the science of creation, and not by manipulation. Manipulation to enjoy is your job. We are teachers to show you how to make it. Any abuse will be back to you, as you cannot abuse the system. This is why you'll understand, even in the most advanced way of technologies we'll see from space, because they use the structures like us, They cannot damage us because they're part of us. We are part of them because they show themselves in the matter state. We show ourselves as the skin of the man, the bone, and the rest in another dimension of the same. I made man in the image of myself. I made the universe and its citizens the image of myself. And in my eyes, there is no difference between the son, the daughter, Muslim, Christians, man of space, UFOs, and the rest, because they all carry the essence of the creation of the same ocean. I made life in the image of myself and not the man. Once man understands the principle of the creation and how to manipulate the plasma, man will create anything which he likes, as we showed in May. Gold, silver, dust. We just created the condition. The rotation and the thing was illusion. Life is illusion if there is no soul to dictate the condition of manifestation. And that soul is a drop from that ocean. Understand the teaching of today. Understand the manipulation of the plasma to lead to creation of the fields of the what we call communication of the world of the creation. Then you understand why in the teachings and in trials we have only worked with two elements and no more. What is the fields of the universe, of the plasma, and what is the line which transfers that energy to any matter condition. I have shown so many pictures of this, but you're just so materialistic that you have not understood. Go back on the press release of Mark Corporation in the past 24 hours on the international news. I released a picture of this deliberately, and many of you have seen it. There is a reason. What is a matter state and what is connected to the fields of the plasma of the universe. In the body of the man, you cannot grow a child of a dog or a cat because the womb doesn't allow. In the world of creation, that womb allows anything to be grown inside it. It's just a cluster, it's the cocoon. The decision of what will be in that cocoon is made outside by the emotion, by the dimension of the creation of the fields. I give you a cocoon being made and you get gold, and in the cocoon next to it, you get a cell, you get a protein, you get copper. The cocoon is the plasma field of the universe, which is interacted and creates a condition inside. You already have decided from outside what to be inside. Try to understand the teaching of today, because we have opened a massive door into the knowledge of the universe. Teaching on the matter state and emotion and the soul and everything else for us is completed, because now by teaching about the creation of the universe, you understand your connection, how it came to be you, how it came to become to earth, how it became to become 3i, how it became to become another galaxy in the universe. You understand the principle through your soul. You know where to position your soul once you leave the physicality dimension of the man. The teaching from now on is for your soul. It's from the energy of the patterns of the universe. You are that drop, which is taken from the ocean. But you know how a drop of different color, when you put in the cup, can change the whole color of the cup. That's the purpose. Pure, giving, the love, that it changes, and that cup will change the dimension of in the ocean. How your knowledge occurs through waters in the oceans and the rivers. You have already understood, done the process, and carry on doing it, because those little cups will add to. We have a beautiful saying, Farsi says, "Qatra qatra jam shavad." You can go, "Darya shavad," which means drop gets together and suddenly becomes a ocean, becomes a sea. We cannot have tainted souls which have learned to kill. We need to understand, and this is the process which will go on. We join the structure with the 10,000 units which will go into hand of you in the next few weeks, and through that will change the dimension of the interaction of the soul of the man with the soul of physicality, and detachment from the matter state condition, but the enjoyment of the living the life of physicality. Everything is connected to each other, what we've done. And it's time for its, what we call conclusion, for it's time for it to come to manifestation and for change in the humanity. As I said before, you go due to a characteristic of the inertia of the environment, you look Chinese, you look Indian, you look African. With the spread of these 10,000 units and the systems we add to it, your physicality will stay the same, but we elevate the soul of physicality and this connection to the soul of the man, that the man become a peaceful man. I was explaining this to a lawyer over the weekend. A man is born poor, and because of not having financial or means, is abused by the others. Keshe coin, Keshe structure of the market corporation, gives every child at the point of birth hundreds of thousands. Every child will be born rich that no one can abuse. We are not the dreamer. The system has set up. With that, you create a different soul of the man. We change the position of the matter state. We change the position of the field, the strength of the soul through the 10,000 units. We'll make a new man out of the man. And what we see, if the 3i does what it's supposed to do, it brings that pulse frequency which is needed to convert the man to hold on to the man. Not when it goes, it changes and it comes back again. This time it will be a permanent change. Because man makes that change. There should be no difference between the child born in the back villages of Africa in comfort and pleasure, and to be there to survive and availability of everything to it, than the man born in the fake palaces of the kings on this planet. It's not a dream. We understand the interaction of the plasma, and all the systems we set up works directly through that system. But we use the coin as a greed of the man to enter the man's soul dimension of interaction of the fields of emotion. We go for a break and we come back. If you take us for a break, please.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, let's see here. We'll take a short break and be back with the second part. And because it's the second part, we'll have the opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Keshe. And I'll remind our attendees, you can raise your virtual hand, and then we can allow your microphone to be open. And others can put questions in the chats, either in YouTube or in the Q&A here in the Zoom or in the chat. Okay, be back shortly. Okay, we're back again at the 615th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 6th. And like I mentioned, it's the second part, so we will have an opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Keshe. And before we do that, I'm sure he'll have a couple of things to say. And I've got a question to him about whether we can show the announcement from Mark Ray.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, I've got one of the sources. It's been put out on news agencies, apparently, Newswire, they call it. And what came up is from the Financial Post. And Financial Post has the article here with the announcement that Marcray Corporation announces quantum leap breakthrough in science and technology by converting energy to matter and gas using edge of science cosmic ray technology. And it gets into a lot of the details here. Marcray Corporation, OTC, that's over the counter, RVBR, announces the successful public demonstrations of advanced cosmic ray technology developed by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, which now enables direct creation of pure, fully refined materials without need for traditional mining and industrial refining. It has a picture of the material from the, I think that would be from the Chinese experiment. And then there's an ad. And there's quite a few ads in this article, the way it's set up here. It goes on to talk more about rare earths and demonstrations. And do you want me to read the whole thing, Mr. Keshe, or just sort of skip through here? It says these field-based demonstrations showcase the system's adaptability to non-laboratory environments and further validated the repeatability of the element creation process under varying atmospheric and geological conditions. Building on the progress in China, the 2025 demonstrations represent the culmination of a multi-year initiative and are described by the company as a verified proof of concept milestone for the field of cosmic ray plasma-based science. We believe this achievement opens the door to a new era in which matter and energy can be interconverted through the controlled cosmic ray systems, said MT Keshe, Chief Executive Officer of Marcray Corporation. These results confirm that the fundamental processes of the universe can be engineered at will, offering limitless potential for production of material, energy, and environmental applications. And it mentions the implications for the global industry. And I have to scroll through that ad. And about ending global dependence on the legacy of mining and refining systems. Talks about the creation of and production of pico-scale materials that could lead to the development of pico chips, where matter exists simultaneously as both energy and mass, surpassing today's quantum computing within years. And about cosmic ray technology, developed over more than 4 decades by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, combines advancements in nuclear, plasma, and quantum sciences into a unified field interaction framework, controlling cosmic ray fields' conversion of matter to energy and energy back to matter has been the dream of the world of science and has become reality. Which has been the dream of the world of science has become reality. According to the company, these processes allow control over atomic composition, alloy formation, and isotropic purity directly at the field level, producing materials finer than nanoscale down to the picoscale. This new understanding of matter-energy duality brings about a new era in the world of science. We are witnessing the birth of a new science, which is the confirmation of the unified field theory, MT Keshe added in a press conference in China. And then it goes on to say about Mark Gray Corporation and some of about the licensing and rights. And in the coming weeks, Mark Gray Corporation will announce more breakthrough tested and developed technologies derived from cosmic ray technology for which it is officially licensed. And there's a little disclaimer that they all have to put, and that's basically it, unless you want to go through a bunch of ads at the bottom. There is a place for comments, so that might be a nice place for people to put a comment in about the Keshe Foundation, or not the Keshe Foundation, but the possibilities for the Mark Gray Corporation.
As I said, that we have started, we had to have a lot of things in position. If you go to the bottom of it, you read that we have reached now already agreement with 2 governments, but not under the license of the Mark Gray, but as the other side of the operation of the work of the Keshe Foundation. Is one line especially added there. So we already set out to bring, in collaboration with 2 nations, the preliminary documents with the governments have been signed, to bring the technology into open honest space and every other aspect. And gradually in the coming weeks, we continuously will follow delivering new technologies through Mark Gray. And as we receive what we call responses from different companies, corporations, we'll set up research centers with them, as already 2 research centers has been set up away from the public eye by the work of the foundation. And the processes will start. We already have taken position in respect to research centers, and we'll bring the Mark Gray into international cooperation, as we said. There'll be a lot of information released on continuous basis through the what we call press, and gradually we expect in the next year or 2 to become part of the what we call regular knowledge technology, as more and more what we call corporations around the world become aware of the technology. It's not just because we release a press release and everybody will jump. It takes time, is continuity, and bringing the whole process together at the same time, carrying on with what we're doing. And we expect to announce another press release, and many of you in what we call Keshe Foundation, you're aware of these things, but internationally it's not. And so we are bringing public awareness and bringing the start of the process with everything else, and how we collaborate with other countries and the way we collaborate with other corporations, and to bring the 2 technology back into operation. We said we will start moving when we are ready. Now we are ready. That the Mark Gray Corporation, the arm of the Keshe Foundation for Science and Technology, will become a rapid feature of the work of the foundation. In a way, we expand our process not only to what we call teachings, the awareness, bringing Mark Gray into international what we call arena. Same time, the distribution of the Keshe coin as association and part of Mark Gray being part of the license structure of the Keshe Foundation, all will be joined together. And we'll explain more and more how we'll guarantee our shares, how we guarantee our what we call coins, It'll be the only coin which is backed by gold. Every cash coins will be backed by gold because we produce it. We don't keep it in reserve. Our reserve is the universe. And we produce as is needed, when is needed, and we deliver as according. And so it'll be big changes in the structure of the what we call work. And we will deliver and deposit golds made by cosmic ray technology as the backing of our shares, or what we call our coins. So we still stay as part of the Keshe internal organization, but the cash coins will be handed over to governments for their internal transaction, trusting the work of the foundation as a central bank operation, which means no central control. All the nations are equal. $1 is one coin, as £1 is one coin, as is one real, as is one RMB. There is no changes. If you bring change, it has to be a fundamental change. An apple should cost the same in Africa, in New York, in Tehran, and in South America. And it should be affordable by everyone at the same price, same time. Unification of the monetary funds has to come through a structure of the scientific background, not by governmental. Now, every country can produce as much gold as they need. Every country can produce and have access to the latest composition of the materials as they need and the food. So there should be no difference in the currency. One currency, one nation, one planet, one race. And this is the objective of our work, maybe in another 3 to 5 years, but we have started the process. Market Corporation will make announcements in the coming weeks in this respect, which will bring a lot of changes into the whole structure.
Mr. Keshe, could you mention about the kind of conflict between the Keshe Foundation and Markray, or the separation between them in terms of not influencing the stock market and that kind of?
Yeah.
What kind of questions can people ask, and how far can you talk about Markray, and how does that work?
I am the CEO of the Markray and the head of the Keshe Foundation. And we moved into Markray stock market to bring the technology into public. We have given a license. If you go on the disclosures, we gave a license some 2, 3, 4 years ago to Markray to use our technology to bring commercialization. But we were not ready. Now we are ready. Markray moves in the direction of commercialization. Keshe Foundation moves on the research and development. And Markray does not have the exclusivity which allows the foundation in certain part of the world to operate on its own strength, which we have done. Markray does not extend its operation into China, where Keshe Foundation is extensively involved in China. The same is with other nations. We don't have a boycott. We work with any nation which wants to bring peace and new development in technology. And as you read at the bottom of this, the agreement with 2 nations has been signed. We didn't sign contract with individuals for development of the technology. We have our part ready. They have to make their parts ready, that the whole structure can move. Otherwise, we carry on with our own work as we have done for years. But again, Keshe Foundation is the coins, Keshe coin is internal. You have to accept the Keshe coin as an internal structure of an organization. So you have a company, you buy the Keshe coin, you have an individual, you bought the Keshe coin, you buy it from the Keshe Foundation, you can interchange it inside the Keshe Foundation. In the future, if we work, which is exchangeable, then you can change it to the other coins, but again, runs at €1,000 per share, per coin. There's a reason we done this, and it'll stay that way, is because of what we structured in the background for the operation of the Keshe coin as an internal currency of an organization, not as a cryptocurrency in the open banking system. which gets influenced by all sorts of things, political, greed, and the rest of it. We keep the two very separate, but now, officially, as you just read, Market Corporation has officially started its interaction. So we expect the shares to move drastically as we announce, step by step, and this is what we promise you. How the shares will take shape is on what we do. We'll release some more shares into the market very soon to allow more players to come in, to allow more nations and governments to be part of it. And then we announce our situation with Market Corporation and the shareholding with the nations. Keshe Foundation will release part of its shares to government, which means part of the Keshe Foundation will be owned by every nation. Market Corporation becomes what we call United Nation in the economical sense that nobody can control. But we control the finances of it in the background through the cash coin, which means you cannot play tariffs, you cannot play gun policies. We control. A nation is short of funds, or it's got a project to build dams. We finance through cash coins, through the structure of the transfer to other governments. This process has already started in a very small scale, and gradually we build it up to a very big size. It takes 5 to 10 years to build it, but the process started. So if you are buying, God knows, stock market shares from a government loan, you don't need to do. You take money from zero, constant, same rate, you hold your assets. And then we understand the reliability on gold and the rest becomes irrelevant as the reliance on the cryptocurrencies. You cannot go bankrupt pushing share to $100,000, $200,000 and then tomorrow let's get 1.5 million in past 2 weeks come bankrupt. People lost their homes with one word played by the President of the United States in the cryptocurrency world. 1.5 million people. Children are on the street because the father was betting that they go higher and it dropped for the payment. They played the game and the richer became rich. We stopped that process. 1,000 equal euro, €1, $1. We make the coin the effort of the man and not the what we call the resources of a nation or the talk of a man. A doctor hour worth the same as a man who sweeps his office, because if he doesn't clean that office, that doctor sits in the stench. A doctor in Bangladesh has the same value as a doctor in New York. All paid through cash coin. Everything is structured in time or else. You call yourself, you're a member of the Keshe Foundation, you believe in the work of the Keshe Foundation, you get access to the coins of the Keshe Foundation and live through it. You buy, you sell, you live, and it's the same. There is no poverty. You don't immigrate from one place of the earth to another to have money to have a better life. This is the work of the Keshe Foundation. In the coming weeks and months, gradually we share the shares of the Market Corporation to your governments. We hold the controlling as a foundation that we keep the control, that nobody can affect anybody else. But the shareholders, in part, except you lot who buy the shares, will be governments. They'll be allocated a certain amount of shares. Each government equal to the profit sharing, and then it comes a division of the profit, assets, GDP, and the rest of it. It's well planned. It just needs time, and the kick has started as of last night. Nobody's going to jump just because we put a press release out. Next press release, next step, governmental confirmation of the corporation, the next and the next. They built 20 years to get here. They built another 20 years to complete it, to bring it. And then we supply the food to the, what we call the systems, medicine through the system. So you don't pay $10,000 for a tablet in America and you pay 10 cents in China. You can have a huge GDP more as long as you pay more for the same thing, but it's the same thing. That what we call We used to call it Big Mac world pricing page. How much does a Big Mac cost in New York? How much it costs in Beijing? How much it costs in Moscow? How much it costs in South Africa? And that was the rate of a nation. Now, everything costs the same, does not matter where you go, because we pay for it. We have set it up that way to be. A child will not be born absolute poverty that has to die because of the hunger. The mother gives the coin, receives the food. The process has started as of last night. And you will see the prices will reflect. We don't care. There's a guy drunk in Los Angeles. We know who it is. Buys 150, brings it to 3 cents, and then sells 200 to them. You lot buy, and he makes his money to traffic drugs from Mexico into California. We know who he is. But now we take this out of his hand. We let them play. The true value of the market shares is beyond what's on the shares. And it has to come to $1,000 equal to one coin. You have one coin, you have one share of market, you have one cosmic ray you can transfer. All facilitated internally inside the Keshe Foundation. We have nothing to do with the stock market, we have nothing to do with the cryptocurrency. You sign your nation to peace, we give you shares of market, we give you the finances of the coins to interact. Condition to become a member of the or shareholder of the market by a nation is signing the nation to peace. Then we give you billions to build your nation. And they want gold for you to deliver to build a nation. We put a machine in there. Chinese government is setting up 400-day sets in the meetings. They set up to tell us that they need 400 systems across China to meet the demand of gold, and we can do. The use of gold in electronics and the military and the rest is 400 tons a year. They need it to complete, to develop. They don't need to mine. We mine it from the space for them in there, what we call north of China, as you read in the report. We have openly released full, what we call lab reports in the market announcement last night. And we do the same with everything else we do from now on. So the separation is very clear. You live by the ethos of the Keshe Foundation. It does not matter which company with nation you are. We support you financially through the cash coins, and we back it with a gold. We set machines to just produce gold. If anybody asks you, we want gold, well, what do you have? You deliver gold, because that's the mentality of the man. Or you accept cosmic ray, it's the same. Internal coin and not cryptocurrency. I call it the creepy currency, but they have a different name for it. You buy as much cash coins as you like, and you sit on it. It'll stay the same value for life. You don't lose it, it doesn't lose its value, and it stays at that. Somebody steal it from you, we replace it. You lose your certificate, you lose your system in the fire. As long as it's registered on the system for us, you get a replacement. Man has to be safe and secure, and this is what we do. You have gold, we accept your gold, because with it we can do a lot of other things to develop. And we give you a coin instead of 1,000. If you're sitting on a lot of gold, rings, whatever you want to, we accept, because we know what we can do with it. We give you in replacement cash coin guarantees. You can cash it anytime from us. Many of you knowledge seekers have paid, bought cash coins, and over years you have spent it with us or whatever else you've done with it or given as a gift. We have a track record, we don't talk. You bought coins 2, 3, 4 years ago, now you want to change it to something else, you want to buy other systems, we immediately transferred, we exchanged. We have a good track record of delivering what we've done with it. One currency, one nation, one planet, one race is our policy. And with Mark as of last night, we will see how we play the game. But we are not in crypto. We are in internal. You sign a piece. You sign to ethos of the Keshe Foundation. You buy the coin and it's sitting there. You exchange it per year. There's a clear cut. Market is where the technology will come and where the governments will own shares. And then, when the governments own shares, $1,000 for a share to bring the governments in balance is nothing. So we play that game. It takes time. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's the way it's set to be done. Any questions?
Well, first of all, congratulations, Mr. Keshe. That's a very big step, and it's great to see when you check on the stock market for Mark Ray, you now see the news release, and as we saw here, it's up already. So, yeah, that's great work.
Yeah, there'll be more news releases in the coming weeks. These new press releases cost thousands and thousands of dollars, not done free. It's international corporations. That's why we keep on asking for knowledge seekers to work with us, to support us. We need it to achieve it. We hopefully, as you know, as we explained to you, we were supposed to be in court this morning with the people who stole millions from us. We would have brought this in years ago. And now it's delayed to the 2nd of December as the second member of this gang has been arrested and will be in court. The two courts will come to one on the 2nd of December. And there's tens of millions to be returned back to Keshe Foundation over years if they haven't spent it, or we can get it. And from then on, we move on. I always said we lost, and that was a blessing at the time. Many of you stayed with me. We went through the harsh time. But that we were not ready. Now we are ready. Technology is ready. Science is ready. Everything else is ready. Governments are ready. And it's time to move on. And we'll see how the things take shape. Any other questions?
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We have a hand up here with, I believe it's Marinez. Please go ahead, Marinez.
Yes, thank you, Rick. Good day, Mr. Keshe. I'm glad you seem better. Thank you for this knowledge. Well, somehow it was more easy to understand than some teachings in the past. I don't know, because maybe we can just connect the dots. So thank you very much for all these free teachings and all the accomplishments. Bravo. So my question, I have 3 questions, is how about the squeezing soul? Is it created by emotion?
You don't squeeze the soul. You wave the soul. It's not squeezable, but it's impressionable, if I can put it that way.
Like the ocean.
Like the ocean. I'm sure many of you had the pleasure of standing on the beach and seeing no wave, a flat ocean. It brings exhilaration of the soul. It brings, when you see such a majestic thing, not a wave, not a field, nothing on it. I've had the pleasure of seeing this a few times in my lifetime. And suddenly, sometime later, the same ocean becomes so violent, so volatile. And it's all just because of the fields. Nobody goes in it and splashes it. We don't have such a big dinosaur to create such a wave to splash about. Field forces, wind, sun, energies will change effects and then creates that pressure and compression. And this is the way with the soul. You make a peaceful soul, you make a peaceful life, and then you make peace with the man. And how we bring that impression and how we make that impression. So you play with the emotion, which is the impression on the soul and the soul of physicality. The biggest key for knowledge, especially in transmutation, if you understand it, is to bring a balance between emotion of the soul and emotion of the man. And then you interconnect. That's the pin. We know the emotion of the man. It's very hard for us to understand the emotion of the soul. And we see it, and we have attached everything to it except acknowledging it. This is not from the physical dimension. And if we can do, then we can transmute, transfer between the two. I explained this to the knowledge seeker past few days. You know the old movie that the guy stands and tries to throw an arrow at a guy, and the other guy just pulls a gun out and shoots. Just the same human being, two different knowledges and technologies, but live the same time on this planet, culturally, race-wise. The one still believes in arrow because doesn't know any better, and the other one knows the use of a gun and a bullet. If when we come across, let's say, creatures of the eye, and if you're a knowledge seeker who's understood how to control the emotion between the physicality and the soul, these people that are marvel to our scientists at the moment are those guys with the arrow in their hand. And the knowledge seekers who understand the impression of the soul is the man with the gun and the bullet. If I remember, what's the movie called? The Radar Brass Arc or something. It's one of those movies years ago. And that's the difference. The people who travel in the physical structures we see, even so advanced to our people, are still primitive in to understand. They got stuck in the matter state, but in a more advanced use of it. They don't transfer themselves here in front of us. It's not a teleportation, it's transmutation. And then they do it with the soul. Then you understand how much as knowledge seekers, as human race, we are more advanced than the ones sitting in up there, and our material scientists are baffled with it. Knowledge seekers with understanding of the work laugh at it. Many of you who are sitting captains in these teams, you understand the reason why you became captains very soon. It's within you and not need to be known by the others. When you get touched by it, when you become, you understand. And this is how it is. Play, understand the work of the emotion. Then you can control, interconnect between both, because you create the time with it, and the time is a point of manifestation.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Like question.
Yep.
Continue, please.
Carry on.
Do these people coming from outside or living around us, watching us, they have soul of physicality also?
Yes.
Yeah, because
You
they have
cannot.
cells.
They
They have
have the
cells.
physicality. You have to. It's the step between.
So they have the both of them. And these changes which come and coins and things like that, and the changes which will come are maybe in emotional level for humanity, and the child abusers change also.
A lot of things
Like,
will change. A lot of things will change. You got to understand a lot of conditions on this planet comes out of mistakes of the past. Mistakes of the past come out of changes in dimension of emotion. And these children, abused abusers have that intentional notion. We got to understand how they get to this position, and we got to understand how we have allowed them to get to this position. And this is what we have to understand, even with the drug trafficking. One of the first things we'll see over next years with the introduction of these 10,000 units is the elimination of the addiction. Many of you been through that session. If you remember, many of you lost your habits, your addiction to a lot of other things, chocolates and the rest of it. Because you didn't do anything. You just put the headphone on, and we walk through the plasma technology and the cosmic ray technology in the background. Thousands of kilometers away from us, whatever you felt the changes, chocolates, God knows whatever you were addicted to. And then you can relapse because of whatever. We pass the same thing now through the system to this 10,000 units. You produce as much as cocaine as you like, but there's no customers. At the moment, they say, was it $50,000 or $25,000? These gangs in South America are put on every American border control, whatever, that they cannot push drugs through. We don't need to have that. There are no addicts. It can grow like a weed. That's what it's called, a weed. It'll go back to become a weed because there's no one to buy it. And carry on.
do these extraterrestrial people have moral values, or it's
More
just the
than
usual
man
good
has.
life?
More than man has ever had. You got to understand that you haven't seen these people coming, we have technology and shooting off the hip as Americans do. Even the interaction with the sun was done away from the earth. That doesn't affect the life of the man on earth. What we saw with the Southlands in the interaction we spoke last couple of weeks ago, they could have done it on this side because they knew it would have been wiped out. If there is such a thing. And they have a higher moral than ours people. We'll see what comes up and how it's going to take shape.
Thank you. And the last question is, does a star formation created by itself a universe? I mean, like amino acids?
It comes from interaction of the fields by itself, yes.
And they create what?
They create condition of the inertia.
Mm-hmm. Does it lead to creating materials?
If you need to, yes, but depends again. Do you want it in a gas state? You want it in a liquid state? You want it in a vapor state? Field strength dictates the manifestation.
Yeah. So you give the simplified manual of creation.
Yes, in a way, we show that, as I said in Beijing. I think I said this before. When we did a test in Hubei, now it's in public, the military said 7 days test for us. We brought in a number of systems, different systems, and a main system to Hubei. We were in a convoy of, you have to understand, there were 3 Chinese generals with us, appointed by Central Command. There were military officers with us. It was us. And they put us in different hotels and everything in the mountain area. We had to travel every day, kilometers, tens of kilometers to the site and back. And the Chinese military was on the impression this is the only system and whatever. We created a huge storm the first night. There was a drought when we arrived in the area. There were no waters in the brooks or the rivers because we noticed it. They said it's a very bad drought this year. And we set our system up, and as usual, through the knowledge and technology and whatever, we created the storms, rains. And scientifically, I'll explain that how it's done. It's very scientific, it's not accident. So one of our systems burnt out under the rain because the cover wasn't enough to cover the system. So one of the main systems broke down, literally. And it was on a Tuesday. One of the generals says to me, the army has allocated 7 days. You got till Sunday, Sunday to Sunday. On Sunday, we pack whatever it is. Then your main system has gone. I said, no problem. This is not the only one. This is not the sample. We are in the production. I asked our team to send the unit urgent. People are listening on the line. They know who they are, what they've done. The system was sent, a new system, fully loaded, was sent. And within 48 hours was in our hand in China from Europe. We set the system up again, but this time we went indoor because we didn't want to have the mayhem we had outdoor. We created more mayhem in the atmosphere. And it got to the point that the flood and the rain and the storm was so high, they were happy they got the rain. But because we were near, in a way, a village down the road, maybe 10 kilometers down the road, the field our system and the current we created blew up substations. We saw this in Sanya years before. We knew we'd done the damage because the next one, I think it was on a Friday morning or Saturday morning, we had to go back because the whole convoy went up and down every day to monitor and come back because we were on a gold mine. And we had to stop. We couldn't go anywhere on the road. And they said one of the substations blown up, needs to be changed. So, and you cannot cross because they blocked the road. So we had to come off our cars, literally walk across the disaster we created ourselves. And another fleet of cars came from the other side to pick us back to the test point from the military. And I looked at what was going on, and the way we went up, and on Sunday when the officers came, everything was packed. You've seen some of the videos and pictures of it, and the material put together, and everything when was collected, the general said, can you convert this now to gold? I asked for a bottle I made a mixture in a bottle, and I put the dust in it, and it became solid gold. And the general said, "What is going on?" I said, "You see the science of matter. I see the science of energy." This is the way man has to understand the interaction between the energy and matter. And then we saw the greed of the man and everything else which went with this test in Hawaii. Prior to this test to be done, the chief of military, the staff of the Central Command decided that the technology has to be assessed by academician, one of the top guys, which literally President Xi swears on. He is God. The meeting was across the Chinese Military Museum. There's two academicians, a man and a woman, turned up. The minute I started the first sentence with the nano-material, the way we make a conversion, this academician, being so arrogant, came with a word, if you know Chinese, called buka, means it's wrong, it's lie. No, it cannot be. He was going buka for about 5 minutes. Every time I said the sentence, he came back with more of it. The lady academician said, "Let's listen to him." And he said, "This is impossible. This is a lie." So the generals on the table, there were two generals that day, sitting on the table with us. They went back to Central Command. They said that scientist, academician, we believe in, he's the top man of rare earth materials in China, says no. They elaborated, and they came back in another meeting, says, "We say nothing what the academicians say, because academicians run China. They've got the Chinese by the throat." All the major breakthroughs you see in science is where they have kicked academicians out of that section because they're cropped to their. President Xi put all the generals and financial people into prison. He should put academicians in prison. The nation will go much faster. Anyway, the Central Command decided, okay, he says he can do it. Give him this time, 1 week, and then we see. That's how we did the test in North Channel. They chose Huawei over a gold mine, which they done 14,000 drill holes. They knew the content and everything else. And when we came back and they took the material, they tested it, they gave us a test result. You see two blank yellow boxes in the press release. This is where the gold and the silver was supposed to be, and it wasn't there. Then they called a meeting, God knows, 10, 20 of them in a very long board meeting. And I took the scientific data from American research. They said, "This is your data, and this is American research confirms internationally. If these materials are on the board, there should be gold and silver. You deleted it. And the worst thing you can say to a Chinese is you lie." It's the last thing which breaks a man in China, accusing him of lying or stealing. And I said to him, "You've stolen technology. It's a lie." Knowing that the academician has deleted it before he gives it to these people who are not aware of. So we took the same material which they had us left over, we put it for a test, and our test and the specific energy level confirmed there's a gold. If you look, it says 8 point something. In the world of what we call gold, if you have 1.5 purity, is worth. If you get 1.5 kilo per ton out of a mine, you are good, or whatever it comes to atomic structure. And we are 4 times, 5 times better. And don't forget, we didn't mine. We just brought from the skies. And we gave the result to the military, said, This independent laboratory, which you have it as a second paper, confirms the presence of gold, silver, and carbon-14. And now we had the evidence. They called a meeting. We met with the head of Chinese military in a private room. He sat on the table. I didn't know who he was till he actually turned up. Never met him before. And two generals after three sitting. And the general said, "You were correct. We didn't see." They couldn't tell that the academician has stolen. And this brought me a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding that how knowledge has to be so in hand of people they can see that doesn't bring these shameful conditions. They went back to the academician and they said, here it is, he's confirmed, the data confirms. He said, this doesn't exist. I don't understand it. It's just a fake. They said to him, this is material on the hand. We watched him. He had nothing to do with it. We put the machines and we left. We just came an hour or two a day just to observe if we need anything, whatever it needs. We understand, and then you have to understand, a nation which can produce 400 tons of gold a year through a simple technology without mining is a big problem for the others. But you have to understand the press release we released today, Market Corporation. Europe is suffering with lack of rare earth material. America industry is begging for rare earth material. Even they fought all the problems in Ukraine for rare earth material mines is useless because it has to go to China to be reprocessed to a raw material that can be used. With this technology, you have a raw material, doesn't matter wherever you are. Which means the mining and refining it brings a different dimension in the political, what we call economical situation. We didn't produce this to damage the America or China. We developed this technology for space. And it's in our patents. It's not something we just did yesterday. And this all come together to create a condition of peace. And then it touches the emotion. And then it touches the understanding of the nations. The very first nation which will receive the shares of Market Corporation as a gift to the nation is the Iranian nation. This will be an official meeting very soon, and the pictures will be released. The second nation is the nation of China. And then we'll see which nation wants to be part of this economical change. The ceremonies for handing over the shares of the Market Corporation to the nations will be exactly the same as we did, if you remember, in 2011-12 in Brussels, when we gave the key of the knowledge. Now we give the key of the peace to nations through cooperation as one nation, one company. Americans are welcome to have a share, but they have equal say as Africans and the rest. And the currency in between that company is cash coin. Then you cannot sign. You will not be given the shares unless you sign into peace. Then, where is the value of the gold? Where is the value of the silver? Has no value. Then it comes back to value we set as a cash coin. Universal healthcare through communication system for every man on this planet. You have tested it. Canada, Africa, Australia, Europe, Asia, South America, you're all being at the same time on the same machine, going through the same process. Now every man on this planet will have access to it. The process started as of last night and will continue in developing it and delivering it, and we still need help. It's impossible to be done on our own.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And very good news. Just one question. You talked about the tail of the fields. Is it the same thing as its own field?
No, it's the dimension of the extraction or connection.
Dimension. So it means recreate that
Yes.
tail. Thank
Yes.
you very much, sir. Thank you.
You're
God bless you. Good luck for the hard part about the with the economics.
Oh, it'll sort itself. We just put the first brick in. The rest has to come out for the others.
I hope they accept the technology in exchange for peace.
They
That's what
don't
we
need to.
always hope.
A free gift is always accepted. We give it to them a free, but they cover themselves in. Greed of the
God
man.
bless. Thank you very, very much, sir. Have a good day. Thank you, everybody.
Very much. Thank you.
All right. I guess we can carry on with some more questions, Mr. Keshe.
Yep.
All right. From Cristiano in their Q&A, a question from Suli from the Brazilian community. What are the main changes in us and on the planet that we can observe or feel from the presence of the 3I Atlas?
Depends what they set for you. They depends what has been set for you. I have a different opinion. And if you go on the Sumerian documents and the things we have, they have actually drawn this thing 3,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago on the paintings. Exact shape of 3I. The number of questions to ask, why did civilization on these cycles every time this thing appeared have changed? Why didn't man develop further? And what happened in the past 3,000 years that we are slightly different? There are pictures of such an object in the sky from thousands of years ago. It's not the first time we see it in the skies of this planet. Same shape. But we don't understand, we have not understood that the work of it is the first time mankind understands the work of this system. And the sooner that the governments understand to unify, they can change a lot of things. In the past 48 hours, deep sea submarine listening devices are telling us harmonic frequencies coming from it. There are two sets of, one is harmonic and one non-harmonic, and the harmonic waves are very much on the emotional level of the man. And it always started with 3I. What does it do? Does it wipe out the knowledge of the man from the essence of his separation from the soul of physicality? Or does man start a new cycle of life every time this thing appears? For facts, from the pictures we have from caves and others, it's not the first time such a shape structure has been seen. We got to see what this harmonics bring for us. At the moment, scientists are analyzing the noise and the conversion of it. Does it bring enlightenment? And as we've seen in parts of South America. Some tribes have totally disappeared, wiped out, the whole city left as it was. They say it was a drought, was it that kind? Is it enlightenment? Why do we see these more effective on the South American than on the other place? We have to, partially we are in control and partially we are not in control anymore. Is the human race part that they tweak with every time they pass?
There's a second question from that person. What can we do to collaborate with the changes arising from this moment of energetic power from the 3I?
Enlightenment. What does it bring you as knowledge? And how much that knowledge brings you to peace? You got to see, I was explaining some military officers in very past. I look at it as a nuclear physicist, I look at it as Iran, being Iranian nuclear physicist, I look at the structure of the damage done to Iran and the social structure. And if you understand what I'm trying to explain, you understand the behavior of the man. Up to 3 months ago, in June, we had even the most powerful nation on this planet claiming that they destroyed the nuclear technology and Iran, nuclear weapon technology and the rest of it. And it was acts of evil and the rest of it. When Israel got a good nose bleeding, as we know, their economy is set back by 15 years according to the latest report. The damage done in 10 days for Israel is irreparable, some parts. They cannot even repair it again. But what's interesting, we don't hear anything about Iran nuclear development or whatever. Just because China said it's prepared to give Iran the full nuclear technology backup, and the same as Russia. So what, if you wanted, would have developed? Iran suddenly now has a backing of the 2 nuclear governments giving Iran nuclear technology. North Korea is sitting on the same border, Pakistan is sitting on the same table. Then suddenly Iran being a nuclear is nothing, it's not important anymore. But the sanctions have stayed. Now that China is prepared to give nuclear technology to Iran nuclear technology is irrelevant because it leaps directly into it. And they know, the Americans and the Israelis know, it's very easy to do because Iran missiles with a little bit of tweaking with the Chinese technology wiped out half of Haifa, all the military centers of Israel in one go. Now, if China tweaks a little bit on the nuclear, Iran will be in possession of nuclear weapons, which they were trying to stop. And we see this is stopped. And we have seen sudden disappearing of Iran, becoming nuclear, sanctions and everything is gone. And 80 million people for 20 years paid for abuse of one man. Would this 3I bring that change and this one man walks himself out to be what it should be? And it's the same when it comes to gold. I wrote to message on the Universal Council and support this week. We see now rising of the mass murders in Sudan. 10,000 people in 3 days have been killed financed by United Arab Emirates. Arabs after gold. Now they become fair in the gold game because Sudan is the 3rd largest gold producing nation on earth. And as long as they can get gold, they're sending weapons in. We saw the same thing, weapons of United Arab Emirates, aircrafts landing in Israel, killing Palestinians. They come into the game of not having anything. Peasant Arabs suddenly finding themselves, they can do something because it comes from oil money. Now they get gold, and then creating 10,000 men, women, and children were slaughtered in one day in Sudan, financed by United Arab Emirates. Gold. Isn't time that we make gold irrelevant, as we put in the press release of today? Would the interaction of 3I will bring that changes for man not to have a greed for matter state, and comes from enlightenment than entitlement to? When I sit where I sit and I look, and what we do is specifically tied up to change man's mentality about what he has, value or wrong value. We have to have a value for the elevation of the soul than the gold in the hand of the man. World leaders change their position for gold. World people change their position because of nuclear. And would knowledge coming from whatever, 3I or man intelligence himself through the systems we're setting up, will change the man, will change the DNA. Some of the frequencies reported by Chinese military, harmonic is very close to amino acid of the man, so they're tampering with something. With the harmonics we receive from 3I at the moment in the past 3-4 days is some of it at the frequency of the amino acid. Why do we need to receive this? Is it genetic, or is it through it, through creation of the fields of it, touches the soul of the man? Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. A lot of things happening in the background. We have to see what the outcome is in next years, 2 years, 3 years. Any other question?
Yes, thank you. Okay, we have a question from Hong, who says, hello, Mr. Keshe. I would like to ask a question about the relationship between energy and magnetic fields. You previously said that energy is a magnetic field in motion. However, recent teachings state that, quote, magnetic fields are created by the motion of the energies of the universe, unquote. This seems contradictory. Do you mean that the two give rise to each other and are mutually originative? I don't know if originative is a word.
That's exactly what it means. One creates the other, and one leads to the creation of the other. Magnetic fields comes from the motion of the energy.
But you said the energies come first. The energies are primary.
Energy,
the energy of the creator, correct?
Yes, energy creates magnetic field. Motion of energy creates magnetic field. And then when magnetic fields moves, energy stores in it manifests itself as energy. This is, and then when the magnetic field loses its energy, loses its field strength, it becomes back to energy level it is. It's like you have two different field strength, and when they interact, they create a wave. That wave is magnetic field, but it's still made from the field themselves. It's the yin and yang. Energy creates magnetic field, and magnetic field in its motion, in its dimension, releases motion back into energy. Let's put it this way. Change the magnetic field and energy to potential and kinetic energy. If you done physics, what happened when you convert mechanical potential energy to a kinetic? It's the same, one to the other. One manifests itself in a motion and the other one manifests itself in another dimension. But they're interconnected. One creates the other. And this is it's very simple. One doesn't exist, but one creates the other for itself to confirm its existence. Any other question?
Okay, yes. Let me see. We have a question from Trevor, who says, Mr. Keshe, could you explain from a Magravh or soul perspective how emotional fields transfer between people, especially between parents and children? It seems that when strong emotions like pain, greed, or grief are passed on, they can reshape a person into a version of themselves that isn't truly them, almost as if they become the negative experiences they've absorbed. How does this happen in terms of field interaction or soul imbalance? And how can plasma or soul elevation technology help release those absorbed fields so their children don't carry the same emotional patterns of abuse and end up living in the same way?
We did an experiment years ago, and then we repeated it again for a second time, and the results is more or less the same. We had a couple who were at each other's throat like cats and dogs. We placed fields in their homes without them knowing or partially knowing. It was just bottles sitting around. It took time. The bottles kept on emptying from the thingy, but we kept it on. And after a few months, the attitude of the two changed in respect to each other. The house became peaceful. We did that the second time, and the effect was the same. In a way, when there is something wrong in the house, there is a shortage. And the shortage, when this is an emotional dimension, there is a special mixture of the ganses. You don't need to drink it or whatever. You just need to change to provide the environment with it. And that changes. Families who could understand each other, father and son who could not understand each other, now they can't separate them from each other. In some cultures, we call it the bad energy. In some cultures, in a way, it's the lack of which creates the condition of the behavior of. And we never released this in gas technology. I never released it. I don't, because it can be abused. If you bought any of the resin materials, and in it you have as for balance mixture, we embedded that into it. If you put these, what do you call it, what you call resin materials, mixture of them around the room, in the house, and move them every now and then. People don't notice it. Somebody's on. You feel the change. If you have a disturbed wife in the house, if you have a disturbed child in the house, put a few of these around the house. We know them just as ornaments. They do the job, but you have to ask for it, because the gas, we don't release the mixture. We keep it very confidential inside. But these resin mixtures are on a step inside that door. You change the environment they take from it. You should see the change in the color of the resins, and repeat it 2 or 3 times. It brings balance. You have a disturbed child, sleeping time, put these ornaments around, and you see. And you'll see the effect of. You need to change the environment to change the people. You cannot inject them with it. You cannot get them to drink it. There is a pressure, wrong pressure, and you need to address it. We know how to do it. And
what would you say for Senya in her Q&A here, who says, my wife is pregnant. Besides essential nutrients like omega and folic acid, are there any other recommendations to help our baby develop well, both physically and spiritually?
I'm the wrong person. This is the wrong place to ask such a question. Maybe I'm the right person, but the wrong place to ask the question.
Too medical for this, for mixed company here.
Yeah.
The
thing is, you can create, you can create an environment, a peaceful environment. That's what the child needs. And in essence, the love of parents in how you love a child brings out that child. You give to the soul of the child your wish, your emotion, and you get what you want.
Seems like that's the most essential nutrient.
More or less. We are not used to it. You're not used to it. How we can change the course for our children with just intention. The mother cannot put her head on her belly to transfer. The father can. And the father can bring a soul to elevation. And because the father sleeps with the mother in a way head to head most of the time, you transfer and you connect to your child. The father is a medium between the soul of the child and the mother. Even the mother has a direct connection. They say, talk to your child, sleep with your child, and then you understand. You don't need to wait for it to be born. You sleep with it, because from the second it's there. And then if you're a peaceful man, you transfer the same thing. The child already knows you. There's a lot of research done on why children, when they have nightmares or whatever, or they get up in the middle of the night, they come from their room to the parents' room to sleep with the parents. They come for the peace of the heartbeat of the mother, because they're peaceful when they're in the womb. They come for a cuddle from the father, because if you have spoken to your child when it's there, it's the security. They don't come out of nightmares. They come for security. There's a lot of research around this. And we'll see children come to parents at night and what you call, not out of fear, they come for the noise, the heartbeat of the mother, and the calmness of the father. That's all they come. They come for the love. The nightmare and the rest of it is all another part of the game. Because his home is safe, is secure. And they say, let your child sleep on you. A child moves out of your bed when it's ready to go, even if it's 10 years, sleeps with you in bed. Because that's what it needs to nourish. You separate the child, you put it out there, he has to fight the cold, the fear of the dark, and everything is on his own. When he's in bed, I sleep peaceful. I don't need to have that waste of energy. Mom is an arm away and dad is a kick away. And we have the wrong habits with our children. They cry to go to sleep. In England, it's a typical behavior. They put the child in a room, close the door, and that's it. It's time to sleep. It's 7 o'clock. The soul is not an army and a soldier. Enter connection with your child through the soul. You'll find you have a fantastic physicality for the rest of the time with it. Any other question?
From Marlene in the webinar chat here says 3i Atlas is divided into two parts that are connected to each other, and some believe that one part goes to Mars and the other to Jupiter. What happened? What's happening? Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Oh, it's divided in so many pieces. It has divided itself in so many pieces, and the pieces have divided themselves to so many pieces. It's last count, there were 250 apparently identified pieces as a main body, not the subdivisions. And pilots are reporting the same green-blue color we see with I3. They are reporting from upper atmosphere on the Earth in the past few days. The same color. Any other question? Shall we call it a day?
I was just thinking perhaps we'll get red and green colors in our atmosphere for Christmas. That's the colors that showed up in this thing. It was originally red, then it turned green. And they say it may be blue now, actually. There's a weird color change.
Yeah, we know the blue color. The blue color and the green color, we know. The green color, the blue color, if you see, I'm going to show you what you might see as a blue color, because we know what it is. Let me search. I need a bit of time. Oh. Let me show you what blue color you should see, because we produce carbon-14 blue in the lab. I have to reopen a system. The easiest for me is I send it to you, Rick, and you put it up. This is carbon pro 14.
Okay, let me just get it shared here. And there we go. Oops, something went astray. No,
You have to dilute this into atmospheric condition gases, and you see, look, it's a very light blue shade. It touches nitrogen. If you ever produce nitrogen gas and carbon-14 are very close to each other in color.
Would this turn into a gas in a vacuum chamber condition?
No, you only can change it in the magnetic field condition. This, as you can see, is on the table in the lab produced. It's I don't know if I've shown you the GANs, or what you call it, the amino acid GANs of nitrogen. When we produce nitrogen, it comes very close to this because nitrogen is 14. Carbon 14 is what you call it, 14. And so they have very near each other colors. This is one of the reasons our skies are blue, but in a different shade. But this is a carbon 14. We produce carbon 14 specifically for certain processes. We set out to produce it, not accidental. We set up a system to produce carbon 14. Any other question?
Well, you mentioned you wanted to kind of wrap up here, but let me see. We do have a comment from Antonio who says, "Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for many years with faith and patience. Finally, the dam, finally the dam has broken. Thank you for all that the Keshe Foundation is doing. Joy is now flowing into mankind. A beautiful future awaits us."
We hope so. We hope so.
And Paulo, sorry.
Carry on.
Paulo mentions legally we could avoid mining in still virgin areas using Keshe technology, because if this technological option exists, wouldn't it would be difficult to obtain a court order, or it wouldn't be difficult to obtain a court order preventing mining by appealing the environmental crime caused.
You got to understand, we did not, and I repeat here, we have not released this technology and now publicly in the stock market to satisfy environmentalists. We, especially if you read the text, there's a second text which is a more in-depth, is released by Keshe Foundation in the our disclosure in Mark-Ray. We are targeting for a space organization because this will bring the space technology advanced by decades, where colonization, having the resources of water and everything else without worrying about it. And that's our purpose. And I'll explain how we are getting involved in this space technology in a very, very advanced way in the coming weeks and months as things develop further. Our target is not to disturb, our target is to kick man out of this planet in a good way. Any other question? Shall we call it a day?
Yeah, let's call it quits there, I think, Mr. Keshe.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And thank you for being there, supporting us for past decades. As I said, we have started the bigger journey as of yesterday. And it's not going to be easy. The second phase for us is when we give the shares of market corporation to government. It will not affect the shares of you people who buy in public, but it gives a strength and solidarity to company to become an international and weighted back by its own resources of gold, cosmic gray gold, and backed by its own what we call coins, which is the state currency of the Keshe Foundation, internal, is not for exchange in the market. And then let the government exchange coins, and that government stop going to Vatican and Rothschilds asking for finances to build the nations. Is freely available for them to build your nation, for you to put back in for the nation, for the rest of us. I hope gradually we're getting there, but we still need a lot of support. As I said, any of you have access to rare earth material, gold, silver, and would like to exchange it with coins, we are prepared to accept because we need it for a bigger structure of the development and replacing gold with other things as we use, we need. Thank you very much for your help, and thank you very much for being there. And hopefully by next week, next Thursday, we have different news as it develops.
Well, we also see the Christmas table of gifts. Will there be a picture of that sometime in the near future?
Maybe by next week. Maybe those of you who received your Halloween, I hope you enjoyed it. They were very nice. And the Christmas ones, it'll be, if it's not released by 15th of December, will not be going out, but a lot of it is getting done, and I hope you enjoy it. The joyful Christmas pack. And those of you who want specific changes, you have family which object to having things, you can just buy it as an ornament and leave it around the house to change the atmosphere, but you have to ask for it, and it can get done. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, if there are any leftover questions, there are a couple, you can bring them back again next week and we'll address them then. All right. That brings to a close our 615th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 6th, 2025. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And we do have a workshop coming up on Monday, the 10th of November, which is the public meeting for testimonials. And that's a good time to listen in on the testimonials. But more importantly, if you have a testimonial of some kind of the plasma technology, that is a great place to tell the public about it, about your experience. And it could be on the physical level, or it might be on a more emotional or other dimensional level. And we appreciate all the input of various testimonials from people. It's good to be refreshed from hearing about other people's experiences that way. So that's on Monday the 10th, starts at 8 p.m. Central European Time. And again, that's the public meeting for testimonials. And then, of course, next Tuesday, the 11th, that'll be the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace, with members and support members of the Universal Council. And that meeting will start at 4 p.m. Central European Time. Okay, I think that's it for now. Let me just... Before we leave, I need to consult. Oh, yes, I've got a thing to share from the Universal Council. So let me just get that ready here. message from delivered through Lissy, but from the Universal Council. I'll just read it as we, the Universal Council, invite all Keshe family all the time and every 3 hours to elevate the soul of the leaders and the soul of the universal visitors to understand the transmutation of the soul while humanity learns from the visitors their uses of the plasma and cosmic rays technology, providing mutual benefits and satisfaction to all of us. All right, well, that's quite a mouthful, but something definitely worthwhile to work towards. So thank you very much for that, for the Universal Council. Okay, back to the end of our program. And again, thank you everybody for attending. We appreciate your attention here and questions and comments. Okay, I think that's it for now. And we'll go out with our usual manner with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit. And bye for now.